I wish it was Christmas today. I wish it was Christmas today. Every day's a Christmas day. Top 5 things, come what may. Reviews, movies, and festive cheer. Join the fun, Christmas is here. It's Christmas every day.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome to Christmas Every Day. This is the podcast that keeps the spirit of Christmas going all year long. Now, my name is Troy, and I'm your host. So if this is your first time joining us, we really appreciate you checking in with us. We want to let you know that we do this every Friday all year long. You know, Christmas doesn't have to end. We can do Christmas every day. You see what I did there? Because the podcast is called Christmas Every Day. And I said we can do Christmas every day. Jokes are good. But seriously, Christmas doesn't have to end. And if you're checking back with us from, listening to us before, we really appreciate you coming back. I can't tell you how much we appreciate that. Before we get too busy with Christmas this week, one of our listeners has started his own podcast, and I've listened to every episode of it so far. It's really, really good. The name of the podcast is All I Have Is Today. The host's name is Rusty. Great guy. Now, this podcast leans on, kind of overcoming addiction, but it's also incredibly motivational. Rusty is good people, and you people from the South know what I mean when I say that. And he just makes a ton of great points on his show. They kind of really get you to think about things in a different light. So if you need a little motivation, Rusty puts out new episodes every Monday and Thursday, pretty much wherever you find your podcasts. And I can't recommend it enough for anybody who needs a little boost of positivity and, a little wisdom now and then. So All I Have Is Today is the name of the podcast. Please go check that out because it's a really, really good one. All right. And first off, we're going to have our first live chat on YouTube next Thursday, January 22nd, on the Christmas Every Day YouTube channel. That's going to be from 7 o'clock in the evening until 8:30 Central Time. And so we're going to be talking about all kinds of cool Christmas stuff and traditions and music and movies and, you name it, we're going to talk about it. We have a lot of great listeners, and I think it would be awesome for some of them to get together and, bounce some ideas off of each other and just, talk about Christmas stuff and, just kind of get to know each other. So, if you're free on the 22nd between 7 and 8:30 Central Time, stop by on the Christmas Everyday YouTube channel and just, say hi to us in the live chat. Now, our show doesn't really have the following that some other shows have that have been around longer than we have. But, it's not really about the numbers. I feel like we have some of the best listeners around. And I don't know, I would just love it if you stopped in to talk about some Christmas with us on the 22nd. You might make some great new friends. I've made some great new friends doing this podcast. You might make a new friend. All right, so today is Friday, January 16th. And you know what? You would almost think that it's winter time because the cold weather really, really showed up this week. So, I'm just kind of enjoying a nice warm beverage. I've got my little space heater turned on and, the house is nice and cozy, just the way I like it. So let's talk about some Christmas. Now, I took the opportunity to see a few Christmas movies that I'd never seen before over this last holiday season. And I'm really glad that I did. The last one that I saw was a Lifetime Christmas movie called Christmas Reservations. And I think it's still on Prime Video. Anyway, it's about this lodge up in the mountains around, Christmas time. And it's got a few old school actors in it. So it's got Michael Gross, who played the dad from Family Ties back in the 80s. Now he plays the hotel owner, slash manager. Melissa Joan Hart, who, was in a bunch of stuff in the 90s and 2000s. She is like his, middle-aged, I think never married daughter. She's the events manager at this hotel. I'm single, of course, her career is her life. And it's also got Marky Post in this movie. She played Christine on Night Court. She was one of my first crushes. Just smoking back in the day. She's a little bit older in this one. And then also in this movie is Ted McGinley. Now, he was in Revenge of the Nerds, and he was on Married with Children for a number of years. And he plays this former, Olympic skiing star who's, from that area where the lodge is. Now, the movie follows a couple of different storylines, and it follows about 8 different characters. And, since it's a Lifetime Christmas movie, Melissa Joan Hart winds up with the single dad at the end. So, we all saw that coming. But what really grabbed me about this movie is that they just, everybody went to this mountain lodge for a week at Christmas. And, the people who run the lodge had these cool games like Christmas trivia and, a snowman building contest. And they had some other stuff. I just think it would be super cool to go to a mountain lodge, for a week at Christmas time and do all kinds of the cool Christmas stuff. And I want to do Christmas trivia and I want to build the snowman, help decorate the joint. And they have different contests and stuff. I don't know. I've never been away from home at Christmas. So, the idea of doing something like that, it just really appeals to me. And look, especially for a week, I could take a week off right about now. But I don't know, just the idea of going to like this mountain lodge for Christmas and, doing all the activities, I think it'd be really cool. And this movie is just really good anyway. It's a good script. It's good acting. Even if it is a little bit predictable, but, I highly suggest Christmas Reservations on Prime Video. You may be able to find it somewhere else too, but it's still on Prime Video. I bought it. It was like $5. I get to watch this movie like all the time. Anyway, no, it was a great movie. Did you guys see any new cheesy Christmas movies over the holidays that you loved? I'd love to hear about it. Let me know about it at christmaseverydayshow@gmail.com. Let me know all about it. Also, I'd still love to hear how your Christmas went. Did you have a good one? Did you have a bad one? Was it laid back? Was it hectic? Did you have 4 places to be at on Christmas Day? Or did you just stay at the one place? Or did you just stay at home? Let me know all about it. I want to hear all about it. christmaseverydayshow@gmail.com. So we do have a listener email this week from Kevin in Indiana. And Kevin writes, quote, "Happy holidays from Terre Haute, Indiana. I just found your show. It's currently January 11th, and I've been looking for new Christmas podcasts because I'm still in the Christmas spirit. I heard your episode about the post-Christmas blues, and although I'm not experiencing that, I do have an extended case of Christmas cheer. I usually stay in the Christmas spirit for about a week after Christmas, and it kind of fades away at New Year's, but I still have a very strong case of it now. I still have my Christmas lights up on my house." Okay, I want to stop right there and say, Kevin, I applaud you. Good job. I feel like everyone should just keep their lights up all year long. Anyway, he goes on to say, quote, "And we kept one tree up in our kitchen. Have a holly jolly Christmas and let's keep it going," end quote. Kevin, thank you for the email. I love getting emails from people. I love that you still have your Christmas lights on. I'm willing to bet that this email is going to help somebody out there who might still have the post-Christmas blues. So thanks for sending that in. Really, really appreciate it. Okay, so I wonder is it time for the countdown? I think we should just do the countdown now.
Santa's coming to town. Santa! Oh my God! Santa here? I know him. I know him.
So it is only 343 days until Christmas. Look, I know it sounds like a lot. 343 days. It really sounds like a lot. But when you think, it's only, it's already been 22 days since Christmas, then it doesn't really seem like it's all that long. 22 days. It's already been 3 weeks since Christmas. It does just feel like it was yesterday, but it's already been 3 weeks. So, 343, yes, it sounds like a lot. It's not really, with the right perspective. And if you're counting, like I am, it's only 228 days until September 1st, which we all know is the start of the Burr months, aka the best months of the year. So we got the countdown out of the way. I've been wanting to do this. Now we've in episodes past, we did a Christmas character of the week, and we haven't really done one in a couple of weeks. I think we need to do one this week because, we're going to be doing different things on the show going forward. Full disclosure, I don't have it all figured out yet. I'm not a creative person. I'm not a smart person. I just like to get on here and talk about Christmas. So I may not even do any kind of format at all, but it's just, I'm kicking stuff around. This will be one of the things that we continue to do, but it won't be like an every week kind of thing, the Christmas character of the week. But this one's overdue, and, he needs to be talked about. So, we talked about Jacob Marley. We talked about the 3 Christmas spirits. I think it's time to close out our characters from A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and we need to talk about the man himself, Ebenezer Scrooge. Now, obviously, Scrooge made our naughty list, but that's not what this is about. So it isn't just that Scrooge didn't like Christmas, although he very clearly didn't. Scrooge had fallen out of favor with pretty much all of humanity. He had no friends. He didn't have a wife. He didn't have any children. Only business associates, really, and none of them really liked him. He was a man of business and nothing more. Now, in the story, we see how he was shaped as a child to be the miser that he grew up to be in adulthood, and we also saw how he made amends as best as he could at the end. And, we all know this story. Scrooge is visited by his former business partner, Jacob Marley, and he's told of the visits that he would have from the 3 Christmas spirits. And they show him scenes from his present and his past and his future, and they remind him of how he was once a very different person with very different options and a very different outlook on life. He's reminded of how he was once a very lonely little boy at school by himself for the holidays. And how he lost his love as a young man due to his growing financial aspirations. He's shown how his own nephew and his nephew's family and friends, kind of mocked him at their Christmas dinner. And he's shown an empty chair where a little boy once sat whose illness couldn't be cured because his family didn't have the money. He's shown things that he can't change that he simultaneously regrets and remembers with fondness. And he's shown things that he may be able to change if he only has the wisdom and the encouragement to do it. Now, to hear the story to the end, it does seem that he had both. The most important lesson that I've learned from the character of Ebenezer Scrooge, and there's no real need to do a deep dive on him. Everybody really knows about this story. But the most important lesson that I've learned is that in most situations, it's usually not too late, okay? He lived what seems to be a pretty long life as a miserable person, but he was still able to change, and he was able to be the man that he was meant to be all along. And maybe you really can teach an old dog new tricks? I don't know. At any rate, Scrooge was given a gift that, quite honestly, many of us would benefit from receiving, and I don't know. I feel like maybe the most important lesson that any of us could learn from the story is that he didn't squander the opportunity. He seized it and he never looked back. He didn't take it for granted, and he lived every day for the rest of his life, keeping the spirit of Christmas alive. Sound familiar? Kind of like what we do. But anyway, Scrooge is definitely one of my favorite literary characters, as well as one of my favorite Christmas characters. And this story's significance, it really can't be overstated, not just in the realm of Christmas, but also in life. Like I said, there's not a big need to do a deep dive on this. Basically, Scrooge was, a normal kid, a normal young man, and then he grew to be a very tough individual. And with some poking and prodding from some different entities, he was able to see the error of his ways and change. And like I said, that's one of the most important you can learn from this. It's almost never too late. Ebenezer Scrooge, you have rounded out the Christmas Carol Christmas characters. So really glad that we got him done. Okay, I think we can wrap it up now with the Christmas Carol of the week. And remember, you can click the link in the show notes to check out the Christmas Everyday Christmas Carol of the week Spotify playlist. And on that playlist, you can see all the songs that we've highlighted on our weekly episode. Because, Christmas music is a very, very large part of my love for Christmas. And I love putting this list together. It's super cool. So this week's Carol of the Week is a song that I just heard for the first time yesterday, which would have been Thursday, on the Holiday Traditions channel on SiriusXM. Now, I went to the grocery store on a quick break from work, and this song came on when I was on my way back to work, and it's by the Osmonds, and it's called Pine Cones and Holly Berries / It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. So it's clearly a mashup of two different songs. I was obviously familiar with It's Beginning to Look like Christmas, and I think I've actually spotlighted that one on the show before, but I'd never heard Pine Cones and Holly Berries. And I just love the sound of this song. It's just like super cool. So I think what we need to do is take a listen to a few minutes of this song, because you know what? Actually, we may just play the whole thing because I'm in that kind of mood. So let's check out Pine Cones and Holly Berries by the Osmonds. So it starts out with It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas.
Look a lot like Christmas. Everywhere you go, there's a tree in the Grand Hotel, one in the park as well, the sturdy kind that doesn't mind the snow. It's beginning to look a lot.
And I've got to say, I've never been too familiar with the Osmonds, but this doesn't sound anything like I remember them sounding. I could have it totally wrong, but now it's getting ready to go into Pine Cones and Holly Berries, and this just sounds great.
Pine cones and holly berries, popcorn for you, apples for me, red striped candy, nutcracker handy, kettle a bubble and hot as can be, snow clouds.
Isn't that cool?
Low and threatening, maybe it won't. Praying it may. The brightest fireplace glows in every face, waiting for Christmas Day. Waiting for Christmas Day. Pine cones and holly berries
And then they just mash up the two, towards the end.
for me.
There's a tree
Great. I mean, doesn't that just sound good?
in the park as well, the sturdy kind that doesn't mind the snow.
I love hearing new Christmas music, especially new Christmas music that I like. And there's something about that song that just makes me happy. I love that song. I heard it and I was like, they came in with the Pine Cones and Holly Berries part, and I was like, oh my God, that just sounds awesome. I don't know, it made me happy. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for this week. So, listen, again, please check out our live chat on the Christmas Everyday YouTube channel next Thursday, the 22nd at 7 o'clock. We're going to keep it going until 8:30 Central Time. We would love to see you there. I guess this will be the last episode that we put out before we do the live chat on the 22nd. So please, please, please check us out on YouTube, Christmas Every Day, Thursday the 22nd, 7 o'clock. Come talk to us about Christmas. Anyway, that's going to do it. Merry Christmas, everybody.
With a poor little tyke, and he said to me, do you know what I'd like?